Hi, I'm Margie from Marjorie's Candies, and it's getting to be Thanksgiving time very soon. So I thought I would make a pumpkin pie for you guys. My family loves pumpkin pie all year round, and sometimes we actually make the pumpkin filling without the crust. But for Thanksgiving, we want to have a crust. So you can either make your own crust, or you can buy one at the grocery store and roll it out and put it into your pie shell, but you want it to be not cooked. So the very first step that you would do is I took 2 eggs that are going to actually go into the pumpkin filling, and I'm going to use the egg white just from there. I haven't beat them up yet. So I'm going to take a brush and just very gently, I'm going to brush the inside of my pie, and this will take about an hour to dry. And what it does, it seals the dough a little bit because it's a custard pie, so you don't want it to get too soggy, so this kind of helps. It takes about an hour to dry. I'm not sure if I just said that, but it takes about an hour. And also, I have a pie crust recipe on my YouTube channel because I didn't want to make this video too long. But I'm going to come back in a little while, and I'm going to show you how to put it together, and I'll show you the ingredients that go in. Okay, now also, the oven needs to be at 400 to start, and you do that for a half an hour. You bake for half an hour, and then you change it to 350 for a half an hour, and you watch the crust to be sure that it's not going to burn. Okay, so be back. I want to show you how I make the little edge that goes around the pie. What I did was, this is an 18-inch aluminum foil. It can be heavy aluminum foil, not heavy. You don't need heavy. And you just cut 3 strips about that wide, a couple of about 2.5, 3 inches wide. And what I did is I come up and show you. I took the shiny sides and I put them together, and I make sure that they're straight, and I fold down about 1 inch, and then I fold that in half right on top of the same seam, and then I fold it again. So it really just stays. Okay, and then I open it up, and I'm going to spray, or you can put a little oil, and I've already done these 2. I spray it with a little bit of, like a vegetable spray. Okay, you want to do that over the sink or just little sections, because you don't want that to get on the floor, because you could slip and hurt yourself. So then I'll take my pie crust, and I can do this right now for you. I'll take it, you don't want the shiny side, you want the side against the pie crust, because that'll reflect heat down onto the pie. So and you want also the dull side has the spray on it, and you just I squish the corner there together to hold it, then I bring it down underneath, and I'll just lean it forward, and I can pour my pie filling right into that hole. Okay, so that's how I cover my edge. I may have that in my video for how to make a pie crust. I don't know, can't remember, but here it is again anyway. Okay. Now I'm going to start the ingredients by just putting the 2 eggs into my mixer, and I'm going to put the mixer on high, and I'm going to beat them for probably a couple of minutes to make them very thick, and I'll show you what that looks like. Now these eggs are done. You see, I used the whip instead of the regular beater, and if you can see what that looks like. Okay, they're a little bit thick, lemon color. So I'm going to get rid of this whisk, and I'm going to put the regular beater in, and I'll show you what the ingredients are. Okay, I have 1 teaspoon of cinnamon, and I have ½ teaspoon of everything else here. That's ginger, salt, nutmeg, and allspice. And if you want, I made an extra little dish, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to put it in a zippy bag. This is just of the spices and the salt. And one problem with that is that you always want to write down, like I wrote here, pumpkin pie spice for pumpkin pie, and it includes salt, because sometimes I forget if I put the salt in. I don't always think of that as a spice. So now you have that for another day. Okay? And I also use fresh nutmeg. for the pie. I figure that an average nutmeg is a little bit over a tablespoon or so of ground nutmeg, maybe a little more, you know, maybe a tablespoon and a half. So what we're going to start with, I'll tell you the ingredients here. This is supposedly 2 cups, that's what the recipe calls for, of pumpkin, but the can calls for 15 ounces, has 15 ounces in it. So you can, if you want, open up another can, but I choose not to do that, so that's it. Okay, so now the milk, this is evaporated milk, and this is I don't know how many ounces are in here, let's see, 12 fluid ounces, and it only calls for a cup, so you'll have a little left. You can use that for your coffee, which is really good. And then the recipe calls for a half a cup of sugar. Now this is not quite a half a cup, because I like to put a little maple syrup in my pumpkin pie. So that's just an option, okay? So if you don't, use the half cup. So that's all the ingredients that go in it. And so we're just now, the eggs are done, so we're just going to pretty much add everything else that goes in. Okay, I'm going to stir up the spices a little. And put my beater on. And just start adding things in. Put the sugar in. Put the maple syrup. This, by the way, is real maple syrup. And so I have my sugar, my milk, and, oh, here's my milk. Milk goes in, and then the pumpkin. I'll try not to tell everybody that it's missing an ounce of pumpkin. I'm going to turn this off because I'm going to mix some of this by hand at this point, because I just like to do that. I feel it saves the eggs a little bit, and I don't know if you can see what it looks like. I don't spill it all over everything. I always start in the center and I stir my way out to the outside edge. Okay? That's just the way I do it. Okay. So now we'll bring the pie crust over. I'll get rid of some of this stuff here. It's always a good idea to do that, because then you can find the little containers that you forgot to put things in if you missed something. It's always good. Okay. So this is all stirred in nicely. I am just going to fill my pie crust up. And actually, I didn't mention this, but this is a 10-inch pie shell that I have here. You could probably even use a little smaller one if you wanted to. Let me get a scraper. Since this pie crust is already big, I might as well get it all out. I have trouble finding a smaller pie crust shell, or pie shell. I always make these big pies, and nobody's complained yet, but alrighty, so now I'm just going to fold this over so the edges are protected, and I'm going to put it in the oven for, like I said, the oven's on 400 and I'll bake it for a half an hour. So I'll put the timer on for a half hour and we'll be back. Actually, what I'm going to do is I'm going to bake it through all the way to the end, and I'll show you what it looks like, because a half an hour in you need to change the temperature to 350 and bake it for another half hour. And watch your edge on your pie shell. Now the pie is in the oven for the first half hour. You want to, you can pretty much leave it alone, but after that, and you change the temperature, you might want to check the pie, give it a turn, and maybe 15 or 20 minutes into that, you can check to see that the crust is cooking enough. Because if it isn't, if it's really light color toward the end of your baking, you may want to take that aluminum foil off and let it finish getting golden brown. Okay, so now the pie is ready, and here comes the pie. And I will show, there is a way that you can tell if the pie is done, but I can see that that's done. If you just take a very sharp knife, something that's not serrated, and stick it in not quite the center. I hate to do this, but and then you pull it out. It should come out clear, which it does. But you can also just sort of feel it. It springs back. It looks very nice. So I'll show you a closer picture of that, but just wanted you to see it when it came out. Thank you very much for coming to our video and seeing our recipe for pumpkin pie. If you have any other ideas of things that you'd like for me to make, let me know and send me a message and I'll see if I can make it for you. Bye!